In a world of fierce warriors and legendary heroes, imagine a savage Norse warrior, a fearsome raider, a merciless foe, an ale-swilling pagan who laughed in the face of death, and the chances are you're thinking about Ragnar Lothbrok. He was the ultimate nightmare of England and France, father to the great heathen army, and a lover to at least 3 extraordinary women. Ragnar's adventures read like they've been plucked from a Hollywood blockbuster. Claiming to be a descendant of the Viking god Odin himself, he fought giant snakes, led armies into battle, conquered vast swaths of Scandinavia, and terrorized the unsuspecting people of the British Isles. Ragnar Lothbrok was the son of Sigurd Hring, a Danish and Swedish king mentioned in many old Scandinavian sagas. Ragnar's exact date of birth is unknown, but he is believed to have been born around the beginning of the 9th century. His story begins when he traveled to Norway to avenge the death of his grandfather in a war against the self-proclaimed king, Fro. This was something common in the Vikings era, a time full of war, betrayal, and revenge. Legend says, King Fro was disliked by women who all flocked to Ragnar's camp, and among them was a shield maiden called Lagertha. She fought alongside Ragnar in the battle, and was described to have the ferocity and courage of a man. At the end of battle, when Ragnar and his men stood victorious, he declared that he had won the battle due to the might of Lagertha. Every man in Ragnar's army wanted to marry Lagertha, and so did Ragnar. At first she wasn't interested, and to avoid being approached by unwanted admirers, she had a bear and a hound set outside her camp to guard her. However, Ragnar was a man who always pursued his goals and desires. He killed the bear with a spear and choked the hound to death in order to prove himself worthy of Lagertha. The Vikings were only impressed with bravery and might, and that was enough for him to win over Lagertha, who agreed to marry Ragnar. They both were famous for raiding and pillaging coastal towns of England and surrounding areas together. Every spring, when the ocean waves were suitable for sailing, Ragnar and his forces sailed to foreign shores and attacked monasteries and churches, stealing all the riches they held. Ragnar was not just an ordinary pirate like other Vikings that came before him, but he was a sea king, a sea-born ruler powerful enough in his own right to launch autonomous attacks and seize lands for himself. He forced foreign kings to grant him fertile farming land in exchange for a promise that he would not raid them in the future. Therefore, he was the first Viking ruler to build settlements on foreign shores. Soon enough, though, Ragnar would divorce Lagertha as he wanted to marry Thora, daughter of Earl Haraldr of Gotaland. Icelandic sagas of Vikings reveal Thora had kept a little lindworm that grew into a large serpent. Earl Haraldr proclaimed whoever could kill the giant serpent of Thora would win her hand in marriage. These absurd challenges were a part of Viking culture and lifestyle. Ragnar accepted the challenge and wore breeches that he had treated with tar and sand to protect his legs from the serpent's poison. Wielding a spear, Ragnar approached the serpent, who spat poison at him, but the poison could not penetrate Ragnar's breeches. He stuck his spear through the serpent and cut off its head. It was due to this incident that Ragnar earned his name Lothbrok, meaning shaggy breeches. They both got married as Ragnar continued his raids on foreign shores, accumulating wealth and fame. Ragnar spent most of his life either raiding or crushing rebellions that were initiated as soon as he went to new lands. Traitors were always waiting for their time to strike when a leader had gone away. This was the Viking way of life. Ragnar faced a civil war in Denmark and asked for help from his ex-wife, Lagertha, who had established herself as a famous warrior and earl in her own right. Even though they were divorced, Lagertha came to the aid of Ragnar with nearly 100 ships filled with skilled warriors. She encircled Ragnar's enemy and attacked them from behind. This was the second time Lagertha had contributed to Ragnar's victory. Soon afterwards, Ragnar's wife Thora died, after which he fell in depression. He was constantly troubled and showed signs of distress. To gain comfort, he bent his mind to more wars and raids. Legend says he became a warmonger. He decreed that every Viking father devote his laziest and weakest son to his service. He wanted to show the world that even the weakest Viking man was better than the strongest warriors of other nations. Ragnar had his eyes set on England again. He wanted the gods to recognize him as he spread blood for them. He killed King Haim of Northumbria in battle and raided different parts of his kingdom. As a result, his son King Aella became hell-bent on revenge from Ragnar for killing his father, and eagerly waited for an opportunity to get his hands on Ragnar. During one of Ragnar's other adventures, his men saw a woman bathing beside a waterfall. Enchanted by her beauty, they allowed the bread they were baking to burn. When Ragnar inquired about this mishap, they told him about the girl. They stated the girl's name was Aslaug, and she claimed to be the secret daughter of Sigurd, a renowned hero. Ragnar then sent for her, but to test her wits, he commanded her to arrive neither dressed nor undressed, neither hungry nor full, and neither alone nor in company. Aslaug arrived dressed in a fishing net, biting an onion, and with only a dog as a companion. Impressed by her ingenuity and finding her a wise companion, Ragnar took her as his wife. It was with her that Ragnar had the majority of his sons, including Bjorn Ironside and Ivar the Boneless. Ragnar's next obsession was the city called Paris. He broke the covenant signed with Charles the Bald of France and sailed up the Seine River, besieging Paris in March 845. His fleet consisted of 120 Viking ships, as he commanded more than 5,000 men. Charles, who was determined not to let the royal abbey of Saint-Denis, near Paris, be destroyed, assembled an army which he divided into two parts, one for each side of the river. The Vikings attacked and defeated one of the divisions of the smaller Frankish army, taking 111 of their men as prisoners. The French army on the other side of the river watched in horror as the Vikings sacrificed the French prisoners to Odin. This was done to honor the Norse god Odin, as well as to incite terror in the remaining Frankish forces. The Vikings arrived in Paris on Easter Sunday, the 29th of March, entering the city and plundering it. However, during the siege, a plague broke out in their camp. The Vikings were partly pagan and partly Christian by this time, so accordingly they prayed to the old Norse gods and kept a fast for the benefit of the Christian one. The prayer to one of the gods seemed to have worked as the plague subsided. On the other hand, the Franks could not assemble an effective defense and had to pay a large sum of ransom to Ragnar, which comprised of 7,000 French pounds. This was the last major battle that Ragnar fought as he began to grow old. Meanwhile, his sons Bjorn Ironside and Ubba would grow up to become renowned warriors. Ragnar, wishing not to be outdone, resolved to conquer England with merely 2 ships. However, he got caught in a fierce storm during his voyage, with the majority of his warriors drowned in the deep, dark sea. He still managed to find his way to England, but in reality, posed no challenge. He was ultimately defeated by King Aella's superior forces. King Aella finally had his revenge on Ragnar Lothbrok for killing his father. Even while facing death, he was brave and laughed at the face of it. He warned King Aella that his sons would come and avenge him. The sagas report his famous speech before being executed.
"It gladdens me to know that Odin prepares for a feast. Soon I shall be drinking ale from curved horns. This hero that comes in Valhalla does not lament his death. I shall not enter Odin's hall with fear. There I shall wait for my sons to join me, and when they do, I will bask in their tales of triumph. The Aesir will welcome me. My death comes without apology, and I welcome the Valkyries to summon me home."
Ragnar was then thrown into a pit of snakes to die in agony. That was the end of the mighty Viking warrior Ragnar Lothbrok. His death would result in the formation of the great heathen army led by his son Ivar the Boneless. That army would invade England and take revenge for Ragnar's death. But that is a story for another time. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Stay tuned for more videos and subscribe to our channel.